Good evening, I'm Duke Root, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the experienced advisors at Stonebridge Wealth Systems. Nebraska softball freshman Alexis Jensen was named D100 Freshman Watch List. Jensen was a Max Prep second-team All-American in 2025 and a three-time member of the Nebraska All-State team out of Gretna High School. Big news in the NFL today as the head coaching market, as Ravens head coach John Harbaugh was let go by the team today. Harbaugh was the coach of the Ravens for the last 18 seasons and brought a Super Bowl to Baltimore in 2013. He immediately becomes the best coach available as there are now 7 openings across the league. Big night in men's college hoops as there are 2 top 20 matchups. Number 6 Duke travels to number 20 Louisville, and number 7 Houston hosts number 14 Texas Tech. Also tonight there is Oklahoma State hosting number 25 UCF, TCU taking on number 22 Kansas, Minnesota versus number 19 Iowa, and Texas traveling to number 21 Tennessee. Our sports ticker is brought to you by Stonebridge Wealth Systems, navigating you to and through retirement of your dreams. Local advisors, a disciplined process, the retirement compass. Visit stonebridgeiwm.com. Coming up next is Hour 1 of Sports Nightly right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Hoiberg comes to the right, comes to the left, puts his head down, drives it, kicks it, Mast, another 3, and he's got it! Bang, oh, bang, oh, bang, oh, bang, oh. Holy smokes, Rick Mast. Here comes Hoiberg, cross court, right side. Jacobson catches it, gives to Garcia, now to Mast. Left side now on the 3 by Frager. Got it! He sunk that puppy! This place is lit!
8 gets switched on, deep left side, Weaver, 4, 3 seconds to shoot. Deep left side, 1 on the shot clock, Hargroves, 3, you betcha! A buzzer-beating Central Valley 8-3 by Amaya Hargrove.
Now, here are your hosts, Jessica Coody and Kyle Crooks on the Huskers Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome into a full 2 hours here tonight on Sports Nightly. Hour number 2 will be our Nebraska men's basketball hour with Fred Hoiberg. We'll also hear from Price Sanford. We've got lots and lots and lots of news to get to here over the last few days since we've been on the air. But hey, we have got to open up with a huge congratulations to our producer extraordinaire, Josh Hokelman, and his wife, Victoria, as they welcome in their third child, Oswald Arthur. 9 pounds, 7 ounces, 21 inches. But congratulations. We all love Josh around here very much. So we have a new member to the Huskers Radio Network family.
Very, very cool. Congratulations to Josh, the whole family, and everything went well. Really excited for him. I know he was kind of nervous the last couple of days waiting for this day to get here. So it's here, and he's one of the hardest working people I think we've ever been around. And really, really happy for him as his family grows one bigger.
And he also said he's probably going to be into work here this week.
Of course he is. Of course he is. Back to work.
He's got lots of help, and so we'll look forward to having him back. But we've got good help that's helping us out while he is out and welcoming in Oswald. So, again, congratulations to Josh and Victoria. Can't wait to meet the little guy. But that's a future maybe Husker. We've got lots of those here. Searles, Ben, Nick, Lauren's probably got a future center.
That's right.
We got lots of them.
We got Camden here producing today. Camden's a former Husker.
Does Camden have a kid? That's what I was getting at.
I thought we were just pointing out former Huskers that went
former Huskers that have kids.
So Jeremiah's kid.
Yes.
Okay.
Jeremiah's.
Camden, you have a kid? Not yet. not that he knows about. I don't have a kid.
I just say we've got like the next generation
I gotcha.
Between all of our Huskers Radio Network colleagues that have some athletes that are here.
I love it. There's a lot of future prospective Huskers that are on campus too. How's that for a transition? Transfer portal, all that stuff.
Yeah, speaking of breaking news, just in the last few minutes since we were sitting down here getting ready for the show, I know over the last 24 hours, some news has developed with the quarterback situation, but it appears that I said this last Friday. Sounds like the Huskers have their guy. That changed.
Whoops.
Now there's a different commitment at the quarterback position.
Yes, so it looks like Anthony Calandria is going to be the guy, but until he signs on the dotted line. Now, this is according to On3. Pete Thamel has tweeted it out with direct attribution to his agents, saying he was here today. I didn't see him personally, but I know that according to reports, he was here today, and that he has essentially committed. Same with Kenny Minchie, of course, and then that he flips to Kentucky, and there's more stories that are tree branching off of what happened there as he ends up at Kentucky. But it seems like the Huskers have their guy. He was the Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year last year, threw for 3,500 yards, started 14 games, was a part of a New Mexico, I should say UNLV team that was really good, won 10 games. Offensively, it was never anything in terms of concern as to the yardage and points that they were able to put up. So a guy that has the ability to take off and run as well. We mentioned throwing for 3,500 yards. He had 23 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, ran for just shy of 650 yards, so has that ability to be a little bit mobile. And now that begs the next question, whoever you were going to bring in, and that was sort of what we thought with Kenny Minchie, that it was going to be a clear competition with TJ Lateef. If you bring in somebody who I would assume is probably high price, I mean, he was one of the bigger names left. If you throw aside perhaps, DJ Lagway, he's probably, in terms of production consistency throughout his career, he's probably at the top of that list of the guys that are still around and still available. What does that competition look like? Is there a competition? Does Calandria have the job heading in? These are all questions that'll have to be asked of Matt Rule, but what sort of was promised to him during this visit is something that I'll be eager to find out.
So there's been multiple commitments here over the last few days, but I can confirm here just in the last few minutes or so that officially, you talk about signing on the dotted line, officially signed on the dotted line, Owen Chambliss and Will Hawthorne, the couple pair of linebackers, and was a big need for this Husker defense going into the spring.
Yeah, I think Chambliss is one that they really, really wanted from that San Diego State defense. Obviously, it's a little bit disappointing to see some of the other San Diego State targets go elsewhere. You tend to forget that all these schools, at least in the Power Four for the most part, especially in the SEC, have money too. When you see an edge rusher like Trey White, and I think Ryan Henderson was the other, go to other schools. One went to Texas Tech, the other went to Texas A&M. So you're competing with a lot of these guys. And the funny thing is, we were talking before we went on the air, you don't know how much contact or tampering takes place during these seasons,
a lot.
right? So what does that relationship look like? You can easily say, Rob Orich is here, so that means every single Aztec that goes into the portal is going to be a Husker. Well, how much of a relationship was already built with some of those other schools that these guys landed at, and what's the money look like? And look, Nebraska has to build itself up as a consistent winner in the eyes of this next generation of players. And if the money is similar at other places in the SEC and places like Texas Tech that have been in a college football playoff as recently as this year, if the money's comparable, it's hard to fight off some of those other suitors. So look, there's still a lot of time. It's up until the 16th, so still 10 more days left until the portal officially closes. And I would assume there's going to be even more names that enter. But so far in the names, the 5 names now with Calandria being thrown in there, it's a pretty good group.
And listen, as much as the conversations probably were going on before the transfer portal officially opened on January 2nd, and as much as guys have made announcements on their social media, hey, we're entering the portal, it was not until January 2nd that travel could be scheduled. And so you never know, how the scheduling goes. And so, I walked out through the stadium here tonight coming into the studio, and the stadium's all lit up, and you can always tell when they've got visitors on campus with, how the stadium is lit up and it's red, and there's no place like Nebraska, all over the stadium. And so there's going to be visits all throughout this week. I know there's a couple been several on campus already and a couple today and throughout this week. But yeah, there's other, and you can follow along a lot of the news on social that a lot of these guys that have multiple places that they're going to visit. And so, especially the highly sought after ones. And that's part of when Coach Rule talks about being able to at least be at the table. That that's what's going to happen when you go to these transfer portal and you try to get some of these highly sought after guys, that they are going to be shopping around and seeing where the best fit is. And so there's multiple schedules, multiple places and visits that they're scheduling around.
Yeah, this is a really difficult thing. Imagine being in Coach Rule's shoes. You have the number and really, obviously Pat Stewart and what he has to go through and his entire crew. Just the amount of conversations that you're having with different agents and all the different things that you're being told as to what they're led to believe is fact, what's fiction. Like, there's so many things that these guys have to sift through in terms of what is the truth. And look, I'm sure Nebraska was taken for a loop last night, and the way the timing worked out too. Nebraska basketball had just won, and everybody on Twitter was on such a big red high. And then all of a sudden, the news of Minchie comes out, and then you're saying, "Oh no, not again!" But now you think less than 24 hours later, this is how quick all this stuff is moving. I would assume the tenor now and the overall angst of the fan base is changed pretty drastically. Now there's still a lot of news and things that people are waiting on. Like there's people sort of fiending for a defensive line name. Like I get it. But to have your quarterback, presumably, let's hope that he signs on the dotted line, right? To have your quarterback less than 24 hours later, Dana Holgorsen had said it, this was going to move quick. Boy, it's really moving at a rapid pace.
Also got a couple of offensive linemen, which was also at the top of the must-haves list in this portal, and got some literally big guys.
You got a tree. You got a tree at right tackle. Babalade, I think is how you say his last name.
Babalade.
From South Carolina. Of course, the connection with Lonnie Teasley.
You got 2 years of eligibility left. Tackle.
Probably play right tackle. And then you got a guy in Brendan Black who's a 3-year starter at Iowa State. So the one spot that you look at that you'd say, okay, you need one more guard, and you got guys on your roster, remember, right? So Gunnar Gatula's coming back. Grant Bricks is back. You lose Jason Machachok to the portal. I think he's going to Wyoming. What's fascinating with me, the biggest name, aside from Dylan Raiola, Malcolm Hartzog, but those are guys. Dylan, we sort of thought that was the case. Malcolm was injured all year. We kind of got that news early that he was going to go into the transfer portal. But you got the one really big name is Keona Davis that went into the portal. Willis McGahee also too. You thought he would play a factor next year, but he was had a redshirt season this year. But the fact that you really haven't had the real, aside from Keona, that massive name I don't want to throw names out there because you don't want to jinx it, but a guy like Ja'Cory Barney or some of these other guys that haven't thrown their name into the portal, that you have a really good core that I think is going to come back. And again, you still got 10 days. I think Nebraska is going to be as active as anybody. And, you still got to go up against all these SEC and Big 12 and Big 10 schools. But I think there's going to be a handful of guys that are going to come in here that are really going to strengthen both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and look, that was one of the things that Coach Rule told me in the postgame after the Las Vegas Bowl is that, hey, now we got to get to work. And some of this young core that they've been able to bring in, got to start having those conversations. How can we keep those guys? What are the things we need to do to ensure that we keep that young core together? And it's part of it, how many times have we heard the portal giveth, the portal taketh away? But, you've mentioned this. I know DB's mentioned this. Some other guys have thrown out the word getting an alpha. I'm not so sure yes, you have to have that moving forward, but I'm not so sure maybe they don't have a couple of those guys. They just have not grown into that yet. I can speak for experience watching Ty Robinson develop into that over the 4 years that I covered his career, and just going from, understanding what his role is and being that guy on the sideline and setting that tone. And when things don't go right, how do we respond to that, as opposed to maybe getting losing some confidence when they don't go right. And so I'm not so sure that, they don't have some of those guys. They just haven't gotten there yet. You know what I mean?
I think there's a lot of problems now with the way the transfer portal is going, but fans, they want the instant big name consistently. And when you're coming off the way the season ended for Nebraska football, everybody knows it was a disaster. The last 3 games were not good, right?
Yeah. They
They were all blowout losses. The scoreboard said what it said for a reason. But we tend to, when we're in the transfer portal world, we want this quick fix and we want all these big names, we continue to kick the can down the road on the guys you have. You tend to forget Cortez Mills is here. Quinn Clark is here. What about, we spend all regular season, we talk about development, and then transfer portal comes and we just forget about fans tend to forget about the guys on the roster. It's like, oh, let's go out and get this new shiny toy and that. And then you forget about, we spent all this time recruiting and you want to develop and pipeline and all these things. We just, for me, the transfer portal and that instant gratification of that new shiny toy that might be out there, we just continue to fans continue to kick the can down the road on, okay, well, I guess this guy is not going to be in our future anymore because we want this new guy to come in and play wide receiver 2 and 3 and forget about the guys that you've recruited that you already had expectations for.
We keep saying, I feel like the last few years, like, is it sustainable? Is what Indiana did sustainable? Is what Texas Tech is what they're doing sustainable?
It will be as long as they keep winning, right?
Well, and if they have the money, but what happens with some of these other programs can match the money? That's where I'm fascinated to see, will it even out? Or is this quick fix going to continue? Is it just going to be a different program every year that, hey, let's go all in, let's get some big time money, and then it's like, oh, there's another? Because Texas Tech came. I mean, I know they had some decent games that they won, but they were not a college football playoff team a year. They weren't even close to it a year ago.
But it just shows that when you throw all your money into one sport, into this specific brand of college football, that it can change overnight. And that's why everywhere people think that, hey, why can't we be Texas Tech? Why can't we go from 7-6 to a college football playoff? And you realize it's just not that easy. There's an incredible amount of funding that goes into becoming a Texas Tech, right? So then when we think of that Texas Tech ideology and Kirk Cignetti turning it from this to that, we just tend to forget about the guys that we have and you try to develop over time. Like, that method for fans is just, I feel like, gets kicked out the window more and more.
But the teams that continue to be in that conversation, even in the transfer portal era and the NIL era, are 2 teams that have done a really good job at recruiting and developing, Georgia and Ohio State.
But it's also a double-edged sword, right? Because I say that, and you want to bring in the high-level recruit and develop him to the point where he gets his market values up to a certain point and then leaves. So you don't even, like, Nebraska has been a huge part of getting Keona Davis bigger, stronger, faster, to the point now he's going to reach his peak, but it's going to be somewhere else. So you think of it from a coach's perspective, and how frustrating that is you put a lot of chips into high school recruiting and developing guys, to then all of a sudden when they're in their 3rd year, say they redshirt a year, so second, maybe it's their 1st year playing, and by the time they've gone through the strength program a couple of years, gone.
So how do you want to see it fixed then?
Yeah.
Because you're saying all these things, and it's like, it's not fixable right now. Not until there's like multi-year contracts. There's
got to be contracts. I think that's what we go back to. There's got to be a guy's got to sign for 2 or 3 years on the dotted line. The NFL, you don't have year-by-year free agency. This is the only sport that you have a year-by-year free agents. To me, that is absurd. It is not sustainable. Everybody knows that. It's the most obvious thing on planet Earth. But the NCAA is so scared to make changes because they just get sued every time that they try to make. So it's got to almost go to the government level, right? Like, Congress has got to step in and change. That's the only way eventually that things can get changed. And when there's a consensus between the power conference. Like, when have we ever come to a consensus between the power conferences? Never. Like, that's the hardest part of, like, nobody agrees with each other and how the schedule should work, and how the offseason, what's the timing of the offseason, and should you have OTAs and this, that, and the other. So to me, that's the hardest part, is nobody can agree on anything.
Being that there's really no parameters or structure right now? What keeps somebody from just signing a 2 or 3 year deal with a player?
Yeah. I mean, but why, if you're a player and your market continues to grow, why would you hamstring yourself if you're a player?
Yeah.
When I'm Kenny Mitchie and I think of it from a player's perspective, and somebody comes to me and doubles the money and guarantees a starting spot, there's no contract that was signed, right? So that's the hardest part of this is players, they don't have to hamstring themselves. They don't have to sign long-term contracts. You can be on 1-year deals where you're essentially shopping yourself every single year to the highest bidder. And eventually it will change, right? As you can see, I have no answers. I don't know.
Now that Kyle's taken us on a doom and gloom train, no, I'm just kidding.
I'm ready to kick off. I can't wait for Ohio to be here. Because, once the transfer portal's done, we'll just start talking football again. And once the roster's set in the spring, at least we don't have to go through another transfer portal period in the spring.
Yep. That is the silver lining. That once this is done on January 16th, it's not open again. So that is a positive there. Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse, the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Got to get to a break. More coming up right after this.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins'. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Exarban Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
At Woodhouse, it's more than just buying a car. It's about the experience. Our team is dedicated to making every visit seamless, enjoyable, and personalized to your needs. Explore a wide selection of vehicles, from SUVs and sedans to trucks and luxury models, all backed by expert guidance and exceptional service. Whether it's your first car or your next upgrade, discover why generations of drivers trust Woodhouse for a truly memorable experience. Visit us at woodhouse.com today.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly with Kyle Crooks. I'm Jessica Coody, and another name coming in from the transfer portal, another one from San Diego State, and adding some depth to the backfield.
Dwayne McDougal III. He had 4 interceptions, starting safety for San Diego State, part of Rob Orich's defense. So that now leaves us up to quarterback Anthony Calandria, right guard Brendan Black, tackle Tree Babalade. I get that correct, Jessica? Linebacker Owen Chambliss, linebacker Will Hawthorne, and safety Dwayne McDougal. Now, only a handful of those have signed on the dotted line. 2 of them.
I could say 2 are official signed on the dotted line, and that is Hawthorne.
We don't take that for
and
granted.
Chambliss, and that coming in really as we were going on the air tonight. And it takes some time, obviously, to go to make sure everything transfers over. So it's not a push the panic if they're not in after they commit. But those 2 are officially official, so we can actually call them officially Huskers.
Now, a few of them have tweeted out graphics.
Right.
So Dwayne McDougal, who's the new guy, the safety, he just tweeted out a graphic, #GBR. So that would tell you, okay, they're coming. But in terms of Calandria, we just want to be safe. And some of those, we don't want to make too many assumptions. But it looks like a total of 6 players so far that are going to be in the Big Red next year out of the portal.
How about some good news regarding the transfer portal in a different sport? The volleyball transfer portal is officially closed. Not a single Husker in the portal.
How about that? And how many times did we say during the year, considering that there's only a certain amount of players that can play in any given sport, and the fact that nobody left is a true testament to the culture and everything that's here at Nebraska for players that could definitely start for top 25 teams at other places. Says a lot about people wanting to be here, which is, it's just rare for people to want to, if you're not playing with the program, to not want to try and explore other places. And it just shows how special specifically Nebraska volleyball is.
Yeah, and for multiple reasons. I think obviously the culture's there. You know you're going to be a team that's going to be a favorite to compete for a national championship every single year. But also I think just what's been built with building your brand and your NIL and the things that are available here to volleyball student athletes that there's just very few places that can match what Nebraska does. The fan support, the sellout arenas, you're a superstar. You're a superstar once you sign to be a Husker, or even commit to be a Husker, you're already a superstar. And it's just rare.
And also the understanding is the core is coming back.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the spots that would be empty in most years, that's not really going to be the case this year. I mean, Rebecca is the big one that leaves, right? But you got most of the core coming back.
Yep. There is another transfer portal for volleyball that opens up in the spring, May 1st through the 15th. But for now, we had talked maybe 1 or 2, and even when we were chatting with John Baylor off air, and he said maybe, but didn't really think so. And but we can officially report that not a single Husker volleyball player entered the transfer portal, so that the rest of that nucleus will be back once again.
How about this? Shout out John Baylor.
Yes.
Oh, you can.
That's
you can
on my
announce
list.
It. Okay.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Nebraska Sportscaster of the Year through NSMA.
Got some applause.
John Baylor.
Sound effects, Camden.
Is the greatest sportscaster in 2025 in the state of Nebraska. Awesome guy. I've gotten a chance to meet him. Obviously, not as much as you guys, but we had him in studio not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and he loves Nebraska volleyball, and he is the soundtrack to it all, and to be at matches and to see the kaboom signs that are out there. And I know he's been nominated before, but I don't think he's won it before. So for him to have it happen the first time, for him, awesome. Congratulations, John. Couldn't happen to a better guy.
Congratulations, John Baylor. We are so excited for you. And we should have had a John Baylor montage ready to roll tonight.
Yeah, I can do it. Kaboom! I have my impression of John Baylor.
this is a 6 play on the floor and the ball can't touch the
6
ground.
on 6, ball can't hit the Kyle, what are you doing here? What's the Husker football? This is volleyball. 6 on 6, ball can't hit the ground. Yeah, he's the best. He's got such an awesome personality, and
You want to talk
fans
about
love him.
someone that basically invented what he does.
Volleyball on the radio.
Nobody does like John Baylor.
Yeah, he's what year is it? What year did he just finish up with? He was doing it in the 90s, right? Mid 90s, according to Cam.
And he's absolutely incredible also with how he interacts with Danny Busman Kelly, how it was with John Cook on the coaches show, and he's filled in.
It's a listen. It's one of one.
He's filled in for us a few times on Sports Nightly, so deserving. So congratulations, Sean Baylor. We are very, very happy for you. Also, we're just now getting to it, but Nebraska men's basketball 15-0. We're going to talk lots more about that here coming up in the next hour with Fred Hoiberg. But big time win on the road, and I just think again speaks to the maturity, but also just I get it, and understandably so. The win over Michigan State was huge and made into a really, really huge deal, but this team is locked in on so much more than just winning that kind of game, and so the ability. I don't know if, every team that has maybe won a game like that would have the capabilities of being able to turn right around and go on the road and win again like they did last night, and also when it wasn't always pretty or easy. And it just speaks to maybe the maturity, the focus, just the mindset of and belief of this group that it's more about than just beating a team like Michigan State at home. There's a lot bigger goals on the table for this group.
It's a team that's built on maturity, consistency, and identity on the defensive side of the floor, which you don't necessarily see a whole lot of. A shout out to Nate Lenzer, who we had in studio a couple weeks ago on the coaches show, and to what he's built on that side of the floor and the unselfish nature and that becoming a big part of the identity of this team. That defense travels, right? As Damon likes to say, that's one of those things that is portable defense. And for what they did defensively to Michigan State, I think they held them to just 1 point over the final 440 going back to that game. You forced 19 turnovers. This is 2 straight games, too, where you have not had a very good offensive second half. And to find a way to win a game, especially on the road, like you did last night, where offensively you weren't very good in the second half. You had some bad turnovers, but you hit shots at the right time. Like Price Sanford didn't have a great game last night, but he hit one of the biggest threes on that loose ball that Hoiberg tapped out. And then Frager, he doesn't feel like a freshman, right? He had that redshirt year, but he just doesn't feel like a redshirt freshman. They had a couple of ISO plays for him late, and
he's also he reclassified, so he should be a true freshman.
He came on campus was like 17 years old, I think. Yeah,
he does make some freshman mistakes, but he quickly makes up for them. He does more positive, obviously, than bad. But like the turnover late, but then he goes in and gets an and one. His ability to respond and not let one play affect him one way or another. Is beyond the typical maturity you see in a first year, really, college basketball player.
And they got off to another fast start. Probably in the end was the difference, right? On the road, they got off to a fast start against Illinois. Got off to a fast start in this game as well. And it's just a group of guys that knows their role. Somebody like Jamarcus Lawrence, who leaves for a year, goes to Rhode Island, gets that thought maybe that the grass isn't always greener. And for him to come back and, obviously understand the culture and everything that Fred wants, but what a difference maker it is to have him and even a year polished and being away from the program and then coming back in and understanding the expectations, having that guy on a night in, night out basis. And then Rink, you can't say enough about Rink, right? It's very much like Emmett Johnson, where you don't talk about him enough because he's just a guarantee. And last night, he didn't have a great offensive night, especially in the first half. But in the second half, when they needed buckets, he would dig in the paint, couple of spin moves, find a way to get to his hook and score in the biggest moments. And then defensively, the way he rotates and he's that last line of defense as a guy at the rim, he's just massive in every single way outside of scoring.
One other area that we have not bragged on Rink Mast about, we've talked about his passing, his scoring, all of that. But Price Sanford told me today he is the best screener he's ever played with.
I can see that. He does everything well. It's just sort of that veteran thought of he just knows where everybody's supposed to be on the floor, and it's just really, really fun to watch. When he gets the ball in the elbow, anybody's a weapon, right? Because he's that triple threat, and he just has the vision, he has the shot. His ability to hit a 30-footer, then to post with elite footwork and score and get to the line and defend and all these different things is just next level. Coach Izzo said he's the best big guy in the Big Ten. So
I'm not arguing with Coach Izzo.
No. A lot of people did on whatever night he was here. There was a lot of people yelling in his direction. It was fun. I sat behind the basket, so I had a good view of Coach Izzo, and I would just look to him every whistle and the way he would work the refs and all this stuff. But the fans, right, the students weren't there, but some of the older fans were behind the bench, and they were screaming at a couple times he gave the wave and said, shut up.
But he also was very complimentary.
Oh, he was great in the post-game press conference, and he agreed with the court storming, too.
Yeah.
He loved it.
It also speaks to the deep, deep respect he also has for Coach Hoiberg and this coaching staff, but you know, he said, hey, nobody deserves it more than Nebraska, and it is I always love when the opposing coaches go into their post game and really brag on the Huskers and the program and the fan base for sure. All right, we got to get to a break. Coming up next, we're going to talk some Husker women's tennis. Keep it here on Sports Nightly.
Dear weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, you know Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, well, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole. Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive, from enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
The work is dirty and sometimes dangerous. It's the kind that can break your body, and if you let it, your spirit. But while there may be better ways to make a living, you won't convince me there's a better way to live. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
There is no place like Nebraska, and there's no peace of mind like knowing you have a dedicated team of technology experts working for your business around the clock. Hey Lincoln, I'm Ed Knott, president of tech company Applied Connective. It's a privilege to serve our great state for nearly 2 decades now with managed IT, cybersecurity, phone systems, physical security, and audio-video solutions. Our team understands the importance of fitting you with the right technologies to help your business perform at its peak potential all day, every day. Discover more at appliedconnective.com and go Big Red.
I got to see my brother get married. would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Enhance your grilling game with a Nebraska-made grill from M Grills. Wood pellet and charcoal grills made to last with Nebraska values. Check them out at mgrills.com, a proud supporter of Husker Athletics. Welcome back to Sports Nightly with Kyle Crooks. I'm Jessica Coody. All right, so it's about to be that time of the year where all the sports are going on at once. And a week from this weekend, both Nebraska men's and women's tennis programs will open up their 2026 seasons. That's going to be weird for me to get used to saying 2026. But both programs are really, really excited about what they have and, you know, the talent that they have in place. But I had a chance to chat with both head coaches. Tonight we're going to hear from Herman Dalmagro, the head coach for Nebraska women's tennis, after day one practice and what the outlook looks like for his young group. Day one for you underway. How did you like the way the team approached day one?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really good. I think everybody's just getting back. Some flew back late last night, some just a couple days ago. So I think usually the first few days is just to get back into rhythm. Get back, getting all the ugliness out. That's what we were talking earlier today. Just getting back to it. But everybody's super excited. I think we kind of left the fall feeling kind of well prepared. I think as a team, this year feels more togetherness than ever. I think so it's been good, and I think they're all excited. So yeah.
For those that might be unfamiliar, what are some of the principles that you are looking to instill in the culture of this Nebraska women's tennis program?
I think a lot has to do with our preparation. Like control the controllables, things that are within our control, which is like the effort, the attitude, just kind of like how we respond to things will happen to us, and the biggest thing is that we've been installing a lot of this is just the culture just being unselfish, playing for each other, working hard and kind of not complaining too much and just kind of doing the work. So those are the few things that we've been working on, and I think this team is kind of bought in really well in the togetherness, the team, and they've been working hard. So yeah.
You've got a young group this season, young, exciting group. Tell us about the girls and kind of how the team is shaken up and what excites you the most about them.
Yeah, and I think it's just their eagerness to compete. And I think that's what excites me the most. I think they're all been talking about they want to be challenged, they want to compete. They work hard. I mean, they're embracing that work, the hard work ethic type of deal. And I think that's exciting because it means that it's just they really want it. They really want it, and I think it's that part. We're a young team. We have one freshman that just joined us yesterday, and then 2 sophomores or 3 sophomores and 5 juniors. So we're a young team, no seniors, but I think the upperclassmen has done, and the youngest too. They've done a really good job of kind of like taking their own leadership role in each kind of way, and I think they're all leading. Most of them are, to be honest, are leading by example. They're working hard. They're doing their work, and and I think it's just they're all ready to compete. So
we know the Big Ten is always a gauntlet, but tell us about your non-conference and what that looks like and how important it is to kind of set the tone early with this group.
Yeah, we have a pretty good non-conference schedule as well. We open up the season with James Madison next Friday, the 16th. They're usually a tough team. They usually finish, top 2, top 3 in their, the Sun Belt Conference, which is a strong conference. And then I think we play K-State, Kansas, and Wichita State. I think all the Kansas school, and they're all good. They're all solid. 2 of them are NCAA teams, and one of them has an NCAA singles individual. So they're strong. But I think we believe in having a balance between challenging our team, but also, giving us some matches that we feel like we can be the favorite, but I still have to show up and compete. And the Big Ten is always been strong. I think since we added the USA, UCLA, and Washington, Oregon, I think we have 6 teams in the top 25, and and a bunch more kind of right there. So it's strong. Kind of almost, I would say, stronger than ever. But we embrace the challenge. I think we're ready. I feel like this team is young but really hungry, and And I think they have a little more of a fearless mindset that I think we're kind of not afraid to play anybody. So I'm excited to see what we got.
It's a fun sport to watch in person. It's kind of sensory overload, but for fans that may be considering coming out and watching your group play this year, how important is that for, to have the kind of support up here in the stands watching you guys?
Yeah, I think it makes a big deal. We always try to say that you always want to have that home court advantage, so obviously tennis is, free to come in. There is a little bit of that sensory overload. I think it's definitely, it can get rowdy a little bit. We have 6 matches going on at once. Each one is kind of cheering on their own core, and their own fans are sometimes cheer on each core. So it's fun. I think it's a high level tennis that I think is, fans can get a exciting group. They high energy. They fight hard. I think they, each fan I think can sometimes identify with each player, depending on the style, the energy they bring. Sometimes I hear it from fans. It's like, oh, I like this particular player because the way she plays, or how she cheers, how she hustles. So I think it's fun. It's the uniqueness of tennis is that we compete as a team, but yet you still have 6 individual matches. They kind of their own fighting their own battles. So I think that's what is unique in college tennis, is that we bring an individual sport into a team environment. And I think the girls, like the most is that then it's no longer about themselves. It's all about the team, and they really enjoy fighting for each other. So, yeah, it's fun.
Appreciate Coach Dalmagro chatting with us. That was actually during practice, so he stepped up and gave us a breakdown. But should be a fun season, and they're at home to open up the season coming up a week from Friday. That's crazy. Friday the 16th against James Madison, and then they've got Omaha on Sunday the 18th.
So you disrupted practice?
Well, I don't know if I did, but they carried on,
Well,
Maddie Cobalt, who is Peter Cobalt, the head coach for the men's tennis team, she's the assistant and is fabulous, and so she carried on.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I could see the practice going on in the background.
And I will say, too, that had a chance to chat. It's not, I don't think it's official in the roster yet, so I won't say it, but they just signed the highest rated recruit in program history. She's a freshman. They're really, really excited about her. Had a chance to chat with her parents. Fabulous. So, and they're young, not a single senior. So that's exciting.
Great future. That's awesome. What's the transfer portal like with tennis? Probably not as crazy, right?
Not while we're getting updates like on the air.
It's amazing. I mean,
we go on the air and we've refreshed it, but it's not like we can do it while we're talking. And then every commercial break we check it and there's something new.
Since we've come on the air, Jess, we've added a quarterback and a safety.
Yes, we have.
We really have.
We have.
We've
legitimately
we
have.
The program's new quarterback and a starting safety. So
2 big needs. All right, we got to get to break. We're back to wrap up this hour. Coming up next.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole, Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive, from enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked.
Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Since 1975, Woodhouse has proudly served our customers and communities. From one dealership to over 21 dealerships across Nebraska and Iowa, our promise remains the same. A wide selection of vehicles, trusted service, and financing that fits your life. We believe in honest people, fair prices, and relationships built to last. Because it's not just about the road ahead, it's about traveling it together. Start your journey at woodhouse.com.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center is sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs, solutions for every field. Welcome back. Final few minutes left here of me, and then Kyle going to take over. Coach Hoiberg going to join as we will have our Nebraska men's basketball hour. What a perfect day to have Coach Hoiberg here in studio. Did want to chat a couple minutes about Nebraska women's basketball. We'll have Amy Williams on the show tomorrow night, and her squad gets back in the win column on Sunday, and two big ones coming up here on Thursday. Not tomorrow, Thursday and Sunday.
Thursday and Sunday. Indiana on Thursday, and then Sunday UCLA.
Number 4 UCLA, team. Yep.
And also, too, student radio on Thursday. Sam Hoiberg is going to be doing the student radio. I think he's doing the color analysis. So he is making his, if you were watching the television broadcast, they had referenced something about him making his broadcasting debut. He's done some, that's what he wants to do eventually. He's done some podcasting and things like that on the side. But he will be on the call Thursday for the women's game on radio. But no, good bounce back for the women. Win on Sunday against Purdue, and got to keep this thing rolling. It's only going to get harder.
Indiana is a team that has been a very big challenge for Nebraska women's basketball, and they're getting a couple pieces back. They're starting to put some things together, so going to be a huge test. I mean, this is a team, Indiana is a team that very well could end up in the top 25 as well before the season's all said and done. But so a big one. In fact, I'm not sure that we've beat, we were talking with Jeff Greash about this. Is this right, Camden? We haven't beat them since 2022, right? In that 2021-2022 season, so my first year here. So big opportunity coming up on Thursday night inside Pinnacle Bank Arena. Of course, Jeff Greash, Matt Coatney will be on the call for us. And then Sunday, a little bit of a later tip on Sunday evening with UCLA, but that is also a huge opportunity. And a lot of those are going to come the way of both teams, really. I mean, the Big Ten's just so good in hoops, both men's and women's basketball. Lots of opportunities to stack up some really big wins and continue to add to the resume and continue to enhance the seeding potential when you head into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, how many times do you get a stretch in your schedule where you get 3 consecutive home games in conference play? It's very rare.
Yeah.
That's what they get. After the Iowa game, they get Purdue, Indiana, and UCLA all in a row at home. And what do we always say? You want to take care of your home games in conference play. And UCLA, that's going to be a tough one. I mean, that team is really, really darn good, top 5 team in the country. But if now's a good time, better than any, to have a chance to beat Indiana. So you have 2 more home games, then you head on the road for the next 2. So best case scenario, you probably want to get 2-1 out of this home stretch.
And I know UCLA just handled USC.
Yeah, pretty handily.
But
pretty handily.
But you look at a team like Iowa in the top 15, also USC top 20 team, and Nebraska goes toe-to-toe and had a couple of tough stretches, but you're right there competing with these top 25 teams, and so they're not going to go into it. They're going into it fully expecting to have a fight. But listen, this is a program that they do not look ahead, and they are very much focused on Indiana, and it's going to be a tough task on Thursday. So it starts on Thursday night for Nebraska women's basketball. But we'll talk lots more women's hoops coming up tomorrow night on Sports Nightly, which we will have a full 2 hours. But that's going to do it for me. Coming up next, going to be a fun hour as Fred Hoiberg going to be here in studio. We'll hear from Price Sandfort as well. So Nebraska men's basketball hour coming up next here on Sports Nightly. Keep it here.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts. And now, introducing the starting lineup of your Nebraska Huskers, starring Aloe Fiber at At number 1, Allo Internet. At number 2, no satellite dish required. DirecTV through Allo. And at number 3, Allo Mobile. Allo Fiber, the official internet, TV, and mobile partner of Husker Nation. Level up your game and go to allofiber.com/Husker Radio.
Dear weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, you know Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, well, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
Think a bunch of IT gurus would have anything in common with a dominant college volleyball team? Hey Lincoln, I'm Ed Knott, president of Applied Connective, serving Nebraska businesses for nearly 20 years. We're proud to have a few things in common with our beloved Huskers, namely that we're also a group of hardworking and highly skilled individuals that make up one dynamic team. From our IT and cybersecurity all-stars to our phone, physical security, infrastructure, and audio-video pros, we're one team that can expertly manage all your technologies. Discover why it's a game changer to partner with us at appliedconnective.com. And as always, go Big Red.
It's time for the Nebraska Men's Basketball Coaches Show.
Hoiberg comes to the right, comes to the left, puts his head down, drives it, kicks it, Mast, another three, and he's got it! Bang, oh, bang, oh, bang, oh, bang, oh. Holy smokes, Rink Mast. Here comes Hoiberg, cross court, right side. Jacobson catches it, gives to Garcia. Now to Mast. Left side now, and the three by Frager. Got it! He sunk that puppy! This place is lit! 0.7 of a second left to go. Jacobson has handed the ball. Gets it in, baseballs it down the floor, and it is touched, and there's the horn, and the Huskers knock off Michigan State. Move over, top 10. Make room for Nebraska basketball. Make room for Daddy. 58-56, Nebraska beats Michigan State, and they storm the floor. Storm that puppy.
Now, here's your host, Kyle Crooks, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome into the Nebraska Basketball Show. We have a busy hour coming up talking men's hoops. It's the talk of the town. It's really the talk of the country right now, what the Huskers are doing. Remain unbeaten after a tremendous win last night in Columbus over Ohio State. Of course, we'll touch on a little bit of what it was like at PBA a few days ago as well, when the Huskers beat Michigan State in a top 10 showdown. Kyle Crooks now joined by the man of the hour. Don't tell him that, though, because he's not big into the rat poison, the hype, all that stuff. That's Fred Hoiberg. Late night last night. You guys got back a little after midnight. Here you are in studio, and I'm sure watching the tape, but it showed a lot. Your team continues to show that they can win in different ways. And how about last night grinding one out in the second half?
You know what? After Michigan State, anytime you play a team like that, it's just an absolute rock fight. The way you have to grind a game like that out, you win a big emotional one at home. Guys are sore. You know, BK got hit in the ribs. He didn't do much in practice the last couple of days. And, you know, human nature sometimes have a little bit of a letdown. And the thing that I thought was so important in that game against Ohio State is we got up to an unbelievable start again, similar to what we did in that Illinois game where we got up double digits in the first half. And that gives you a cushion when a team goes on a run, which they're always going to do at home. And then we just withstood it and made the big plays that we needed to down the stretch. But you know, got a little ugly there for a while. They really amped up their pressure. They got into a little bit of a press. We got a little bit sped up, I thought. We weren't quite as organized coming down. I thought our cutting and our efficiency in that first half was exactly where we needed it. And give Ohio State credit. They made a really good adjustment, and we just couldn't make a shot. It ended up taking some forced ones, but found a way to regroup. Got a couple good ones in transition. I thought Kale gave us good pace coming off the bench. We got the ball shifted side to side. And then Braden Frager just made a couple of huge plays for us on the in the last couple of minutes. We called a timeout, ran a little isolation play for him, and just made an unbelievable move, great footwork, and got the and one late in the game.
What were some of those adjustments that Ohio State made as we're watching as fans, and we sort of see it? You're seeing it a little bit deeper. What were those adjustments they made, and how they sped you guys up?
They really just they picked up their pressure, and they got into a 2-2-1, kind of a soft press, and then really picked up back to man. They got back into zone one time. We had a good possession against their zone, but really just got their pickup point all the way up by half court. And then, you know, we had a couple plays. We called a couple. We've been really good with our execution pretty much all year, and we just got a little bit out of sorts. And as I said, we played in a crowd in the paint, things that we haven't been doing. We turned the ball over, I think it was 12 times, which for us it was 8 in the first half. That's too many. A lot of those were unforced. And when you're on the road, you need every one of those possessions. But, you know, again, we had a couple really good hustle plays. I thought Sam made a key one there, going after that loose ball, tipping it out to Price to hit a big three. You know, they go up one. I thought our resiliency in that situation, our poise, it got really loud in there. It was a great crowd. I was, with the students not there, you know, I was really impressed with the atmosphere in that building. But our guys, you know, never wilted and found a way to regroup. Went on a 9-0 run to go back up 8, and then they go on their run at the end of the game, and we found a way to get the big stop on the last possession.
Embracing chaos, right? Because they go on their run, especially in the second half, and you know they're able to take a small lead. But the veteran leadership on this team, the composure that it continues to show. One, you've had some really short turnarounds here, you know, where you've had limited prep, not a whole lot of time to get healthy or 100%, have that full rehabilitation heading into the next game. But how has this team embraced those short turnarounds and having to play some of these tough teams on short turnarounds?
Yeah, and it's tough, especially, as I said, it was like when I was coaching in the Big 12, when the game after Kansas was generally a letdown type game. Whether you won or lost, you were beat up, you know, the emotions, the crowd, especially if you played them at home and then had to go on the road, excuse me, the next game. And that's kind of what it was, you know, with a 2-day prep after playing Michigan State. We knew it was going to be tough. It was a lot of mental reps as far as, you know, making sure we were fresh physically, mentally. And then we found a way to come out of the gate strong. And, you know, that was my big message before we came out. You know, you talk about your keys, but more than anything, it was duplicating what we did at Illinois and getting off to that fast start on the road. And you take the crowd out of it when you have that type of start. And then, like I said, we just found a way to withstand their big runs, went through a really tough stretch, and then found a way to make big plays when it mattered most.
Yeah, I'm looking at the box score now, and you know, you had everybody that was on the floor contributed in some way, especially in the scoring column, but you didn't have particularly a big shooting night from Price. He has the big three on that deflected ball, had the one early that sort of set the tempo. Rink didn't have his best game, especially from three. Those are your two big high-volume guys, so it shows the depth that if one or two of your stars aren't necessarily scoring to where you think they can, that there's other guys that can step up and win on the road in the Big Ten.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, that was the question with this team, is when we had an off-night shooting where we're going to be able to have enough to end up on top. And, you know, I think we've proven that. The last two games we haven't shot the ball great. And, you know, certainly, listen, the defenses that we're playing against right now have something to do with that. But I thought we missed some good looks. We could have gone into the locker room, I thought, up 12 or 15, you know, with a couple of the shots that we had there at the end of the half. But we didn't. And we found a way to come back and didn't shoot a ball at all in the second half. Rink hit a huge one under 5 minutes, and then Price, you know, hit maybe the most important shot of the game before Braden sealed it for us down the stretch. But, you know, listen, we're going to shoot them. We're going to put them up. That's how this team is built. We did get a lot of production at the rim. Our efficiency at the rim was really good. When we got the ball shifted side to side and then attacked feet, that's when we had our best offense last night.
And I was courtside, sort of behind the hoop at the Michigan State game, and watching it in person defensively, how you guys move, how you guys switch. I think it's such a difference maker. One, because it's effort and energy on that side of the ball, right? There's a lot of controllables when it comes to defense. Nate and what he's done on that side of the ball and the effort that you guys put on defensively night after night. Yes, scoring is going to be there. Sometimes it won't be there. But the effort you guys put on defensively every single night is ultra consistent.
Yeah, he's unbelievable, Nate, in his energy and in his consistency and the message and the detail that he puts into a game plan. And we do a lot of station work. You know, we'll do an offensive game plan. I kind of have broken it down. I have an offensive staff with Coach Ziegler, with Coach Monahan, and then Nate will have a couple of the other full-time guys on staff, Justin Moore, Peyton Borders, and the staff that he has got working on that side of the ball. And, you know, that game, it was won on the defensive end. We shoot 25% in the second half and find a way to win a Big Ten game. And, you know, going back on my earlier statement, we actually did shoot the ball pretty well against Michigan State. We made 13 threes. What we were not efficient with, which we've been great all year, is inside the arc and in the paint. We've been one of the top finishing teams in the league. I think part of that is because of the attention that Rink has on the perimeter and that our shooters have. We went 5 for 20 inside the arc against Michigan State and found a way to win a game. We make 13 threes and score 48 points. You know, that shows you how tough of a game that is. But again, the defensive effort that we had, that was the reason we won it. And then last night, you know, as we were in the huddle, you know, talking to my offensive guys, you know, Ernie Ziegler came up with a plan to put the ball in Braden's hands and let him go to work. So, you know, it's a full staff effort. I'm very, very appreciative of, you know, all the work that our guys do. Pat has been an unbelievable addition to our staff as well, Monahan, and, you know, our guys, you know, it's a full team effort for what we've got going on right now.
I don't know how much you're on Twitter, but I saw the stat of, you know, going 5 of 20 from 2 against Michigan State was the fewest twos made in a ranked win in college hoops history. Could you believe that?
Yeah, it's crazy. I try not to look at Twitter. I do get some good ideas.
Now it's a good time to look at it for you. I don't know. Well, it could be rat poison.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, the rat poison. But, you know, but what we did to Michigan State as well. You know, it's pretty. Right. You know, what we limited them to inside the arc. That's, you know, that's Tom Izzo's teams are built to score in the paint, score in the mid-range, and we did a great job of limiting that. And we've been great all year. I think we're the number one team in the country in limiting paint points.
I wanted to ask you about Nate, sort of that relationship, because we had him in studio, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, and his intensity, you could see it on the bench, and he's a little bit more mild-mannered in the interview setting, but I know he's not. His intensity changed, a game changer on that bench. But he was with you in the NBA. He was a G League head coach. He's had such a long journey, and he's such a great story. What has he meant to this program build as a whole?
He's meant so much to me over the years, and we've coached a lot of games together, going back to my early days at Iowa State when I brought him on, and he was basically in the video room. He became our head video coordinator and then moved up to a coach, and he was so valuable to me. I brought him to Chicago when I went to the Bulls, and he was the G League head coach of the inaugural season of the Windy City Bulls. Did an unbelievable job and brought him back on the bench. He stayed with Billy Donovan for 1 year, and then when he made a change, I was very fortunate to be able to get reunited with Nate. And he is, I mean, you just don't. Every day he goes on a run, and that's what gets his mind going. And if he doesn't go on his run, he's very crabby.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys that I've never been around somebody that's wired like he is. And I'm telling you, the consistency that he brings on a daily basis, to get into the guys and to not let them get comfortable. And you see the passion in the huddles, and you see the passion on the sidelines, jumping around on every possession. It really is remarkable what he's accomplished. He was a Division I baseball player, played baseball at Iowa State. Has got a great story, obviously. And he just, he's meant everything to me. He's done a lot of things and has helped us win a lot of games.
Yeah, he's just incredible experience in a lot of different things. But now looking back to last night, you mentioned Braden Frager and what he, especially some of those ISO plays late, the and one that he had that essentially turned out to be the difference. As a young player, what's sort of the DNA that is brought up in a guy like Braden Frager when you bring him into the program? You see moments like last night when you bring him in.
Yeah, I mean, you see a guy that there's no intimidation, and he's still young. He came into this program as a 17-year-old, and the decision was made to develop him and redshirt him last year, and he really embraced that. He was unbelievable on the scout team. I think that's where he developed a lot of the confidence and the swagger that he plays with, but he just goes out there and, sometimes, you put the ball in his hands and tell him to go make a play. He loves that. Mm-hmm. He loves when you put that type of confidence in him. The thing I've been really proud of Braden is how he's growing on the other end and how he's growing in other areas of his game. I thought defensively he made some really big plays for us as well. He got a big offensive rebound for us late in that game as well. And, he just, again, 6 for 9, had 2 and 1s late, and just, did a lot of great things for our team.
Yeah, he had a big night last night. Big night last night for the Huskers, remain unbeaten at 15-0. We'll talk a little bit about the environment at PBA the other day against Michigan State, because I think it's noteworthy. It's, this Ohio State game, if we had a show after the Michigan State game, we're talking about a top 10 win, and I'm like, all of a sudden we got this Ohio State game thrown in there before the show, but good thing it ends up in a nice win for the Huskers. So talking about that, we will travel back to that Michigan State win a little bit as well. The Nebraska Men's Basketball Coaches Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, where people don't have your money has people. Also, contact 811 2 days before you dig to protect your underground utilities and yourself. It's free, it's easy, it's the law. In the final segment of the show, we will have Price Sanford coming up with Jessica Coody. That'll be in the final segment. We have segment 2 with Coach Hoiberg. That is next.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins'. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Returns on the farm are under pressure, with market challenges and environmental hurdles putting every seed to the test. But you have an ace in the hole, Streamline Ag. Designed for every phase of growth and development, Streamline Ag gives your seed what it needs to thrive, from enhanced stand establishment and early emergence to essential nutrition and stress management. Streamline Ag gives your seed the power to reach its full potential. Visit us at streamline-ag.com to learn more.
It's not a job. I don't start my day by logging in or end my shift by punching out. I don't have a corner office, but I do have a seat with a view. I get to see every sunrise and every sunset. And while I may technically be my own boss, I fully accept that I am not in charge. I'm a Nebraska corn farmer, and there's nothing else I would rather be.
Brought to you by the Nebraska Corn Board.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
There is no place like Nebraska, and there's no peace of mind like knowing you have a dedicated team of technology experts working for your business around the clock. Hey Lincoln, I'm Ed Knott, president of tech company Applied Connective. It's a privilege to serve our great state for nearly 2 decades now with managed IT, cybersecurity, phone systems, physical security, and audio-video solutions. Our team understands the importance of fitting you with the right technologies to help your business perform at its peak potential all day, every day. Discover more at appliedconnective.com and go Big Red.
I got to see my brother get married.
I would have missed my dad's birthday.
Because I wore my seatbelt, I had the privilege of being part of his special day.
I got to go home and see my family again.
Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
I was able to go to my brother's graduation.
I wouldn't have adopted my first pet.
And then it clicked. My seatbelt saved my life. Does it click yet?
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Kyle Crooks back with you at Nebraska Basketball Show here with Coach Fred Hoiberg after a road trip last night out at Columbus, Ohio against Ohio State, 15-0. You know, we talked a lot about Ohio State in the first segment. I did want to mention, Coach, the environment that you had a few days prior to that, Michigan State. That's about, you know, I'm coming from an SEC school where things get pretty loud in basketball arenas. That was off the chain crazy. It was a difference maker in a 2-point win.
Oh, 100%. The fans played a huge role in that win, obviously including at the end of the game when Cooper had a chance to tie the game with free throws, and that's as loud as I've heard an arena that I've been in, and I've been a part of some really good ones as well. Hilton Coliseum was great, but I played in. Never forget, we beat Oklahoma State when they were number 2 in the country, and Darwin Alexander was the number 1 free throw shooter in the Big 8 conference at the time. We'd just taken a 1-point lead in overtime. They were number 2, and it was so loud in there the backboard was almost shaking, and he missed them both. And that's what it reminded me of, was that moment. And it was so loud in there, and he missed the first and then found a way to finish it off with throwing the full court pass after the lane violation, and just had a huge win. And you could even hear it, the Husker Power chant going on during the introductions. You knew it was going to be electric in that building, and we appreciate it. And, the thing, and I mentioned this after the game, people don't realize, I think nationally, first of all, how great of an environment PBA is, and they see that, but what you don't see is a full house against New Hampshire and a full house against North Dakota in the previous 2 games, in the getaway game and then the game on the 30th. So it's been awesome. And we talked about this going into the season. I did think this was going to be a team. I didn't know we'd be where we are now, but I did think it would be a team that would be easy to root for because of the makeup of the guys and the character of the guys. And they have. That you see them getting on the floor, you see them getting the loose balls. The 50-50 plays we made late in that game last night was the reason that we won. The defensive energy and intensity against Michigan State was the reason that we beat a top 10 team on our home floor. Again, the biggest thing for us now is we can't get complacent. We can't get comfortable. We have to keep the edge. We got a big one coming up on Saturday.
It must be exhausting for you because I could see it, I could feel it, how much you're trying to fight off all of the media attention. It's good and it's warranted. This team's really darn good. It's top 10. You're doing things you've never done before. But I could see how hard you're trying to fight off because 15-0, it's great, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything, right, to what the ultimate goal is. Does it feel like a lot that you're trying to just fight off all this extra noise?
I think a big part of it is who you have in that locker room. And you said it a little bit earlier, Kyle. This is a mature team. It's an older team, and they talk about it. You can see it in the locker room. Yeah, there was a nice celebration after both wins, but you could see it in their eyes. You know, a couple years ago, we beat Purdue. We got pounded our next game when we went out and played because we didn't handle the success well. Now you can see the guys in the locker room. And the guys that remember that were part of that game, they understand what happened to us. And believe me, we use that as an example a lot when we're in film sessions and when we're in meetings and that type of thing. So, our guys have really bought into turning the page and moving on to the next step and the next battle. And, for us now, it's Indiana. But you didn't see one guy in that locker room when I continue to ask them, are you satisfied? And not one person is saying yes. Now, that being said, I am telling them to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Enjoy this ride. I'm not discounting what has happened. It's been a really fun season to this point, but you said it. We have not accomplished anything yet. We've done some really good things, but we're only halfway through, and we've got, whatever it is, 16 more league games against, some of the best teams in the country. So we just have to keep that hunger, and I'm confident our guys will do that.
One of the key guys in that is Sam, and I look at his stat line last night, Coach. Finishes up with 9 rebounds. I think it was the Seamus put out yesterday. It's probably the third time he's led the team in rebounds, had 4 assists, 8 points, had a tough defensive assignment last night. All the things that he does in terms of being a veteran leader, all the things that you need in the locker room. Coach Izzo said it. It's his favorite player for all the things that he does. Sam's consistency is it's very important for this team.
Yeah, it really is. And it was good to see Sam knock down a couple threes there in that first half and to step up and take a big one at the end of the game, which honestly, when I look back on it, that looked like his best stroke of the night. He just missed a little bit long. But he does so many, whether he scores or not, obviously he has a huge impact. And, he's getting recognition now from coaches. When you look at what Coach McDermott said, when Brad Underwood said, what Coach Izzo, you got some Hall of Fame coaches, I think, that recognize the importance of when you have role players that excel in their role, like Sam, like Kale, and you don't see a lot in the box score. I put Burke in that as well. There's games he doesn't score, but he has a huge impact on our team. Those are the guys that help you win. They don't care if they get shots. They don't care if they score. And you see what Sam's doing, leading our team in assists, leading our team in steals. I think he's second now in rebounding, and it's pretty impressive for a guy that is his size. But it's, again, when you look at this team, the role definition that we have put out there, but the role acceptance, that's as important as anything as far as chemistry is concerned when you're putting all that together.
You look at around college hoops now, and the way that it's a little bit more transactional. That's kind of the system that's been designed now in all sports in the NCAA. What you have in terms of role definition, people understanding, okay, you're going to come off the bench, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Is that rare nowadays? What you guys is pretty rare.
I think it is, yeah. And we listen, we have culture meetings. We have a culture meeting every week. We do a lot of things in the off season to try to build it up, to prepare for moments, maybe when things aren't going well, to try to fight adversity. And I'll say this, Kyle, as much as anything that's gone on with our team this year, the way our guys have handled adversity has been the most impressive thing. And when you look on the road, when an Illinois team goes, that's as loud as an arena as you're going to find. And when your guys find a way, when Ivasic hits the 3 at the end of the game, when they go on a big run, to keep our composure and to find a way to battle back. Last night was another example of it. Oklahoma early in the season, Kansas State, when they went on a big run down at the tournament at the sprint or A-team, whatever they call that now. But, this team has found a way to have great resolve and resiliency. And then again, that speaks to the leadership of this group. I can't be out in the court with them, so they got to figure it out sometimes, and they have done exactly that.
Talking with Fred Hoiberg here on his Coach's Show tonight as we're talking about Ohio State, Michigan State, the week that was, top 10 program, and some of the pieces of it. Jamarcus Lawrence, I mean, he goes to Rhode Island, comes back. It tells me a lot about culture, right? Sometimes the grass isn't always greener, whatever kind of corny saying you want to throw out there. He comes back into this program, seems like it's fit like a glove. The leadership that what was sort of went into him coming back now?
Yeah, he talked about that. He talked about a lot of the things that he missed when he left. And I'll say this about Jamarcus, and I give Archie a lot of credit for helping Jamarcus grow from a maturity standpoint. He played pretty much exclusively with the ball in his hands a year ago. He pretty much shared that responsibility, mostly with Bryce and with Rink the year before. Now he's got the ball in his hands pretty much every possession as we come down the floor. Now we do have a multi-handler offense, but the default in the outlet guy is Jamarcus. He's got help with Rink and with Sam and with Kale, but when Jamarcus is on the floor, he's our lead guard. And that's where I've seen the biggest growth from when we had him the first time. And he knows the system. He knows the defense. He knows the offense. He knows the cutting. He had a couple really good cuts to the basket against Michigan State and also last night against Ohio State. So I love what he's brought back to our program. He's really been a good leader, and you have to have that. When you have the ball in your hands as much as Jamarcus does, you have to have good leadership.
Unicorn and Rink, he gets off to the slow start, but I think to a couple of those paint moves he had in the second half, it just shows how deep his bag is, as the kids like to say, right? He can launch a 30-footer over an extended hand. He could pivot in the paint, score, and then we go back to the defensive part of it. His ability to help and rotate, it's just he's one of those guys that just does everything well. And we bring up the phrase multiple times, rat poison. I mean, he's probably hearing it from a lot of different directions. And Coach Izzo saying this is the best big guy player in the Big Ten and one of the best in the country. How's he dealing with the success?
Yeah, again, I've talked a lot about Rink. He's the most disciplined player that I've ever coached at any level. And you have to have that discipline, that commitment when you go through what he did. That was a very invasive procedure. And, there's a question, would he ever get back on the floor or at least get back to the level that he was playing at? And he's exceeded that. I mean, he's playing better now than he ever has in his career. And that goes to his dedication to do things. He never skipped a step when he was going through the rehab. And he still tried to lead as much as possible, even though it's hard to do when you're not on the floor the year he sat out. Now he's back into that leadership role. And my point on that is his maturity level allows him to block everything out. I mean, there's nobody that puts up his walls and barriers like Rink does. And then you can hear him in the huddles, and our media team does a great job, but you see him on those recaps of all the talking that he does. When you have player-led teams like we do, and a lot of that is Rink and Sam and Jamarcus and Burke, but Kale, I mean, we've got guys across the board that are older players on this team that have really done a good job leading, and Rink certainly is at the top of that.
I made this point on Twitter last night watching the game. Price's reliefs, how quick he gets that thing off a curl, off a screen, but the high and quick nature of his release is unlike what you see in the country. His ability to get the shot off in limited time and space is pretty impressive.
It's really impressive. I thought he got a little sped up last night on his shot, but when you look at Illinois, when he gets it going, he's really hard to shut off. And hit one at the beginning of the game. That's generally a good sign for Price and any shooter. When you knock down your first one, that basket looks a little bit bigger. But again, he hit the big one when it mattered, even though he missed a couple that he normally would make. And I talked to Price. I try not to talk too much to him because it was like Casey. Casey's stroke by no means was flawless, but I never, ever messed with it. At times I would tell him maybe just to slow down a hair. Mm-hmm. And that's Price right now. He just needs to slow down, 1 millisecond, and then that thing will start falling again.
I know Nebraska had that big deflection that led to one of those Price threes. How many deflections? I know that's your big number. Did you have a final number?
You know what? I didn't even see it last night. It was better early in the second half. I think we only had 2 with the first 2 media timeouts, but then we were much better at the end of the game. Michigan State, we exceeded our goal. I think Sam led us with 8. Price had 6. Price was really good with his deflections. Kale is always good. in that area as well. But as far as the final number last night, I got right into Indiana, and I honestly didn't even see our deflection.
You're on to the next. It's just that time of year. Great stuff with Coach Hoiberg. Still have one more segment coming up with Coach. We'll have Price Sanford coming up in the final segment with Jessica Coody. Stick with us here on the Nebraska Basketball Show.
At Woodhouse, it's more than just buying a car. It's about the experience. Our team is dedicated to making every visit seamless, enjoyable, and personalized to your needs. Explore a wide selection of vehicles, from SUVs and sedans to trucks and luxury models, all backed by expert guidance and exceptional service. Whether it's your first car or your next upgrade, discover why generations of drivers trust Woodhouse for a truly memorable experience. Visit us at woodhouse.com today.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, you know Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, well, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
Noddle Companies proudly supports the Huskers Radio Network. As a full-service leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Noddle Hospitality's latest venture in Exarban Village, and the contemporary living of row house townhomes on Leavenworth. We're welcoming world-class concepts from men's fashion and great eats to gorgeous homes and green spaces, all professionally managed by Noddle Services. These are the Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram.
Since 1975, Woodhouse has proudly served our customers and communities. From one dealership to over 21 dealerships across Nebraska and Iowa, our promise remains the same. A wide selection of vehicles, trusted service, and financing that fits your life. We believe in honest people, fair prices, and relationships built to last. Because it's not just about the road ahead, it's about traveling it together. Start your journey at woodhouse.com.
Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic for better health. Why chiropractic? Because it's safe, drug-free, and a cost-effective treatment option for back and joint pain. Plus, all generations can benefit from natural chiropractic care. Choose chiropractic first for pain relief or to improve your mobility, athletic performance, or overall wellness. Make chiropractic your first choice for better health and find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraskachiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
The Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, sponsored by Akrs, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Akrs solutions for every field. Back here, final segment with Coach Hoiberg on the Nebraska Basketball Show. Price Sanford coming up in the final segment with Jessica Coody. You know, Coach, we went through some of the roster and, you know, talking a little bit about last night. Everybody has their defined roles. You mentioned Kale a little bit. I want you to dive into him a little bit more and how he's been able to dive into this role, his role, and how he's helping the team.
I thought Kale was terrific last night. He had a really good play at the rim. It was good to see him knock that free throw down on the end one. I thought we played off 2 feet as well as we had all year in that first half, and got them off their feet and got fouls and got to the free throw line. I think had 3 or 4 and ones, but his pace to me was the difference in getting us going again in those last 5, 6, 7 minutes. Got it up the floor, scored a couple baskets in transition, which is always great when you're struggling on the half court, and just getting the ball moving side to side. We ran a couple plays, just a straight move and get the defense shifted, and we took advantage of it. Braden got one of his and ones on that play, and I think the other one was Rink. Got the and one as well, and again, I give Kale the credit for getting the ball up the floor and playing with great pace.
How about Jared too? Comes in, has a 3. It always seems like he hits at least one big shot coming off the bench.
It was a big shot, it really was, and we ran a little play, kind of a misdirection to get Braden coming off a screen. They both ran at him. He made a good pass to get Jared an open one in the corner. Jared had a really good take to the basket. Another one playing off 2 feet, hit a free throw there. So he didn't play a lot. I think only 5 minutes, but still had an impact in that win.
What's interesting when I hear you talk, you have such a great photographic memory. Is that sort of a prerequisite as a coach? I have a photographic memory when it comes to basketball. Anything else, I got nothing. I'm terrible with names or anything like that. You don't know
yeah. Somebody asked me a question about what happened last night, and about what I said in a press, and I have zero recollection of what I said.
Can you think back to a specific game you played in the NBA or college and break it down?
Most of them, yes. That's where I have a good memory. When my mind is gone, which it's already leaving me at this point. The one thing when we dealt with that with some family members, when you go back to their childhood, they have great memories. Mm-hmm. They can talk about their favorite cities in Europe and that type of thing. For me, it's going to be, hey, when you played in this game on January 28th against Portland, talk to me about it. I'll have that one.
I just think it's amazing how you're able to specific details about certain things and have it down just like that. When you look at the week ahead now, plan of attack, you have a little time to take a deep breath before you head on the road. How about this next environment? You're going to head to Indiana, one of the storied settings in college basketball, another unique challenge.
Yeah, one of the best offenses in our league, and they've got so many guys that can shoot the ball, and they do. They pose a lot of different challenges for you, and it is a great venue. It's fun to play in, and it's they're really playing well. DeVries has done a really good job since taking over, and they've gotten, I think, the 31st ranked defense is the number that they've got one more game against Maryland on the road, and then we play them on Saturday. The biggest thing, Kyle, this has been an emotional week. There's no doubt about it. You play your last non-conference game, you get 2 days to prepare for Michigan State, and then you get a huge emotional win, a court storm. You get 2 days to prepare to go back on the road and play a really good Ohio State team. That team, they lost 2 games by 1 possession on fluke plays. North Carolina it was a fumbled ball, and they pick it up and dunk it to get the 1-point win, and then Pittsburgh hits a crazy shot at the buzzer to beat them. That very easily could have been a 1-loss team going into a really good environment in Columbus. So, for our guys to rally and battle back and find a way to win a game when things weren't really going our way is, I think, a huge testament to what our guys are all about. And now we have a little time, so now you can't exhale too deeply, because if you do. Is that right? You can't exhale, I should say.
It all works.
Inhale is what would be. But anyway, so you got to stay hungry. You got to, and we will. When we have a film session with them tomorrow after you're off the date today, we'll have plenty to clean up. There's still a lot left on the table, I think, too. We're leaving some things out there, whether it's points or defensive mistakes. So there's still a lot of room for us to grow and get better as a basketball team. And if we get complacent, this thing's over, and our guys, they'll stay hungry, and we'll make sure that happens.
So is that the biggest thing now, defensively, certain mistakes, maybe certain things in the half court offensively that you want to clean up?
Yeah. Just, again, we've been pretty good against pressure this year. We've done a good job cutting and finding ways to manufacture. And again, when we got plays at the rim, we were highly efficient last night, but we just didn't get enough of them, and we ended up settling, and I thought took some contested ones. We're just a little quick. But, again, that was Ohio State. They sped us up, and give them credit for it. But again, the true sign and signs of great teams, championship teams, are can you find a way to win those close ones, which we did last night.
How much did it mean for some of the tough non-conference games that you guys played that has now set you up for, I think Seamus had this note too, that the one-possession games you guys have played this year, you've been perfect in one-possession games. When it gets tough, it gets loud, it gets late, this team gets better. when you look at the non-conference sample size, some of those tough teams that you played, that really helps heading into conference play.
It was very important for us to play some close games and get a feel for how we were going to respond to those situations. You put your team in as many of those in practice. You play a lot of situational type games, and you really don't know how you're going to truly react until you get out there in a game setting. And the early ones with Oklahoma, where we had an unbelievable offense. I think that was our best offensive efficiency game. We weren't great defensively that game. And then you find a way to win a rock fight, and defense won the game against Michigan State. Defense wins the game against Ohio State. So, we've won them in different ways. New Mexico made a big run on us, and we found a way to pull away in that game, and that's a pretty damn good team. Oklahoma now has become a quad one. They've gotten into the top 50. So, we played 4 quad one teams and found a way to beat them different ways. And again, that's a sign, I think, of a mature team and a good team when it's all said and done.
It's a gauntlet. It's a grind in conference play. How have you seen the Big Ten as a whole shape up? I mean, Michigan seems like it's a one-man freight train right now.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. And, you saw Michigan State bounce back. They got home at 3:30 in the morning, and they get a short turnaround to play USC, and they end up winning by 30. So, I think those two teams, Purdue obviously is up there. Illinois is going to be there when it's all said and done. Iowa has been unbelievable this year in what they've done. But, yes, top to bottom, Minnesota has had some really good wins, and Rutgers has a nice one last night in overtime. So
that was probably one of the craziest games.
Crazy.
First of all, there was a phantom foul that was called on Rutgers, but the whole game was just – I haven't seen anything. That was probably the best game of the year.
Yeah, I just saw the finish, and I agree with you on that call. That was pretty crazy. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, my point is it's a very deep conference. You have to be on point every time you step on the floor.
And so you just see how tough the conference is, and part of that is how good the coaches are. How much did you get a chance to interact with Coach Izzo when he was here? I know you guys are pretty close.
Yeah, I talked to him quite a bit. The first thing he always asked me is, how's Jack doing, our oldest son that played for Coach. And, I think that shows you how much he cares. And you look at all the relationships, even though one of his players I saw got thrown out of the stadium last night. But, he said he was going to call him today, and the player was going to agree with him. And he's a special human being. For somebody that's accomplished as much as he has, to be as humble as he is. My wife got a chance to talk to him quite a bit. She's friends with Tom's wife, Lupe, and he's just a really genuine person. He'll call you. The thing that he does, he doesn't call you after, he calls you after a devastating loss, and is always checking in. When we had those 2 injuries a couple of years ago, it was the first call the next morning when Jawan went down, and that's just who he is, and he's obviously great for our profession.
Yeah, it's funny. He talked about the court storming in his post game. You probably saw it, but he's like, I was wishing they would stomp me out, just based on how the game went. But I want to get your thoughts on the court storming, because a lot of people can be mixed on something like that. For me, it's it's a program that hasn't seen a whole lot of historical success, and technically, I guess Nebraska was favored in the game. It was a toss-up, but for me, that moment, it felt like it was right. The court storming.
Yeah, it's fun to be able to get out if it's done the right way.
Sure.
And security, I think, has done a good job. I like the way that our players handled that question when they talked about it, as far as, guys, we're supposed to win those games. We need to win those games. We should not have a court storming on it. Now, that being said, they were all out there smiling and jumping around with them.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I know they enjoyed it, but, I think that once again, I think speaks to the maturity of our team.
Fan support, we sort of mentioned it, but it shows how much Nebraska loves hoops and how much they've hopped on this team, whether you see the interaction on social media after games or what the atmosphere is like at PBA. The way the fans have embraced this team, I feel like, is incredibly special.
Yeah, they have, but they've embraced every team,
Sure.
every sport. I mean, you look across the board, there's no other fan base like this that shows up the way that Huskers do. And, certainly from our standpoint, I can't even explain to you how much we appreciate that support. And, we're going to need it. We're going to need it continue to be loud and raucous and obnoxious and all those things in our building. And, if we do that, we're going to have a chance every time we step on that floor. And, it's great that we've stolen a couple road games, but we have to protect home court. We've got some really good teams coming in here, and I know our fans are excited about that.
It's another, I guess, cliche is being the hunted, not the hunter. I guess now Nebraska is now the hunted. But everything that you seem to say, none of that tends to matter, right? It's not in the horse blinders are on for this program.
We're certainly not looking at it like that. We're going to prepare the same way that we do every game. And listen, in this league, it doesn't matter if you're one, or it doesn't matter if you're, how many teams do we have? 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 18. If you're 18, you're hunted. That's how this is. That's the approach. That's the coaching in this league. There's no off night. So it doesn't matter if you're the top team or the bottom team. You're going to be hunted.
Yeah. So I appreciate you joining us, Coach. I know you've had a million and one questions over the pretty much for this entire year with how everything has gone. It's been great, but I can understand where you're coming from, deflecting off all of the praise and things while it's incredibly deserved. It feels like a lot of energy has been deflecting some of the praise and being workmanlike and the next step, and that is Indiana on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'll say this I for the first time last night on the plane ride home, I legitimately almost passed out. It was a grind. I mean, this last week was really tough, but this off day, and I told our guy, you got to win the recovery day, and whatever you need. If you need to come in and get shots, get free throws, get in the tubs, hot tub, cold tub, get a massage, get in to see our training staff, whatever you need to do to get ready to get back on the horse on Thursday to start back on practice. Wednesday to get back into practice. I don't know what day. It's hard to know what day it is right now. But, that's, again, the maturity of this team. They're going to be ready to go. And, again, we structure practices to make sure they're fresh when the ball goes up. So we'll have a good physical one tomorrow. Probably have our hardest day of the week on Thursday, and then have a very light one on Friday to make sure our guys are fresh.
Well, it's an off day. I mean, you probably don't have an off day as a coaching staff. You're watching film, but do we have like pickleball or something that we get into?
I got blood drawn this morning at 7:30.
Okay.
Yeah, and I get my annual heart checkup tomorrow, so that's my off days. I get my old man physicals. But yeah, I do find it time. My wife's trying to drag me in at least get a couple workouts a week, and it's helped me. It really has. I don't always love going in there, and I dread it, but when I walk out of there, I feel a hell of a lot better.
That's another reason why you have to be even keel. You got to make sure the heart's all good. And I know you said that on TV. I think a couple of weeks ago. You said, I got the heart deal. I got to stay even keel.
Yeah, and sometimes that's hard with what we're going through. But yeah, I'm very fortunate to be where I am right now with my history, with finding out about my heart condition and getting it fixed, and I just got to stay on top of it and make sure I'm putting the right things in my body, and hopefully continue to be able to do this for a long time.
Coach, we appreciate you. Congrats on a great start, but again, just getting started. Thanks so much for your time.
Kyle.
Fred Hoiberg joining us here on the Nebraska Basketball Show. Price Sanford joins the show. Jessica Coody. That's next.
Spotting the perfect fit is kind of your thing. So when it comes to finding a used car, start your search at FordBlueAdvantage.com and find the perfect certified pre-owned vehicle at your local Ford dealer. One that comes with serious perks, like a thorough inspection, a Ford-backed warranty, even a Carfax report. Because you know what they say, the best finds are the ones that feel made for you. Ford Blue Advantage. Used car buying that's built for you. Available at participating dealers only. See your dealer for details and limitations.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
I would have never had the chance to see my daughter become a doctor.
Because my mom wore her seatbelt that day, I get to hug her when I go home.
And then it clicked. Because I wore my seatbelt, I learned that one moment in time can change a person's life forever.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
The day we were hit was the second to last day of our high school careers.
We were about to graduate as best friends together.
And then it clicked. Because we wore our seatbelt that day, we still get to experience life together.
Brought to you by NDOT Highway Safety Office.
At Woodhouse, it's more than just buying a car. It's about the experience. Our team is dedicated to making every visit seamless, enjoyable, and personalized to your needs. Explore a wide selection of vehicles, from SUVs and sedans to trucks and luxury models, all backed by expert guidance and exceptional service. Whether it's your first car or your next upgrade, discover why generations of drivers trust Woodhouse for a truly memorable experience. Visit us at woodhouse.com today.
Woodhouse has been a trusted partner in your everyday since 1975. Shop for your next vehicle with the home team at Woodhouse and the official auto dealer of Nebraska Athletics. Kyle Crooks back with you on the Nebraska Basketball Show. Appreciate Coach Hoiberg for joining us on the first three segments of the show. Price Sanford Coming up here on the final segment, appreciate Jessica Coody chatting with him. One of the sharpshooters and high-volume scorers for this Nebraska basketball team has been a huge part of this 15-0 start, and here's part of that conversation.
Also, take us into when he's drawn up the plays. I mean, how genius, what level of genius is he when he's drawn up those inbounds plays or plays to get you guys open?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Everybody sees how many open looks I get, and then you go back and watch the film. It's like, wow, this is just an incredible set or incredible action that he's running to get me open. So he really knows what he's doing, and that was a big part of my decision, as I knew how good of a basketball mind he had, and especially for wings, being a wing in the NBA, and how to get shooters open. And it's a big credit to my teammates as well for, finding me in those situations and going to screen. And, Rink's one of the best screeners I've ever played with. He probably is the best screener I've ever played with. But, big credit to my teammates and coaches.
What makes a good screener or the best screener you ever played with?
I really don't know if it's, he's just he's obviously a really physical dude. He's not going to shy away from the contact. So he's going to go hit him and get me open. That goes back to the unselfishness part. Like, everybody wants each other to do well and succeed, and Rink's right there with him.
He's a pretty good passer too, right?
An incredible passer, yeah. Sometimes catches me off guard how good his passes are.
Got to always look alive with Rink.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Okay, so you were an opponent inside Pinnacle Bank Arena. Yep. What's it like now being on the right side of the bench and having the crowd cheer for you, I guess?
Oh, it's amazing. I think it's the best fan base in college basketball. It's an incredible atmosphere, and that Michigan State game was unbelievable, even though I didn't, get to play as many minutes as I usually do with the foul trouble. But, yeah, it's an incredible fan base, and the amount of support they've showed us and showed me, and it's amazing.
You're not typically a big fouler, right?
I know. I hadn't been in foul trouble like all year, and then I just get, foul out. I don't think I fouled out in like 6 years. I don't remember the last time I fouled out, yeah. So.
But you still come in right off the bench, and I got to imagine it's hard not being in a rhythm. How are you able to do that when you can just still come in and knock one down when you're kind of cold?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say it's from my experience in my first 2 years coming off the bench, especially my freshman year. I really never knew when I was going to go in, so I always had to be ready to go, and I think that taught me a lot. And so that helped me out. I didn't shoot it great versus Michigan State, but got some to go even when I was sitting for a long time. So, yeah.
We've talked a lot about this team is unselfish. There's a lot of different guys that can score, but what has it been like for you carrying more of that load, being more in that role where this team needs for you to provide that?
Yeah, it's something I was preparing for in the off season a lot. When I was being recruited here, they told me that I was going to have to be that guy and I was going to have to be consistent. And so that was something I worked on really hard. And, I'm still working on being more consistent as a shooter and consistent overall as a player. But, I feel like I'm getting better at it as the season goes on.
Talk about coming off the bench. How about Braden Frager and the spark he's provided you guys?
Yeah, he's been amazing. He's made some big plays yesterday for us, really willed us to that win there at the end. And, he's been amazing. He's just going to continue to get better.
Great start to the season for Price and the Huskers, top 10 for the first time since the 60s. It's been quite some time, and it's been quite a start to the season. Appreciate Jessica and Price for joining us on the final segment of the show. Coming up, next broadcast for men's basketball, KP and Coach Jeff Smith, 10 a.m. Central pregame show. That'll be at Indiana, and then back home on the 13th against the Oregon Ducks. That's what's coming up. Appreciate Coach Hoiberg, Price Sanford, Jessica Coody, our crew, Russ Brown, Camden Cohn, as well as we say so long here on the Nebraska Basketball Show.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts. From the chant of Husker Power to Allo Fiber powering your home and Husker Nation, Allo is the teammate you can trust. Whether you're streaming at home with Allo Internet, watching on the go with DirecTV through Allo, or checking stats and scores on Allo Mobile, Allo keeps you in the game. With Allo plus DirecTV plus Allo Mobile, you get the ultimate teamwork. Internet you can count on, TV you can stream anytime, anywhere, and nationwide coverage you can depend on. Bench the other guys and team up with the official Internet, TV, and mobile partner of the Huskers.
Dear weekend, Toyota trucks are raring to go. Gearing up for fall, Tundra is all in for hauling. Campers, ATVs, you know Tundra's got the muscle to move it. Going off the beaten path? Tacoma says, let's do this. With handling that tackles tough trails and the backbone to take you where the pavement can't. Both trucks pack sweet tech, posh cabins, and Toyota's legendary reliability. So whether it's a fishing trip at dawn, tailgate at noon, or a remote sunset at, well, sunset, these trucks are built to make every weekend epic. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, Baxter Toyota of Lincoln, Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, or Village Point Toyota of Omaha.
Think a bunch of IT gurus would have anything in common with a dominant college volleyball team? Hey Lincoln, I'm Ed Knott, president of Applied Connective, serving Nebraska businesses for nearly 20 years. We're proud to have a few things in common with our beloved Huskers, namely that we're also a group of hardworking and highly skilled individuals that make up one dynamic team. From our IT and cybersecurity all-stars to our phone, physical security, infrastructure, and audio-video pros, we're one team that can expertly manage all your technologies. Discover why it's a game changer to partner with